I've always maintained that fair sports bikes are the purest form of motorcycles, and that's because they were conceived with the sole intent of going fast, especially around racetracks. But that also meant that you compromised comfort on the road. And this had a few enterprising bikers strip their bikes of the fairings, replace the low clip-on handlebars with a taller one-piece handlebar, and create what we today know as sport nakeds. And the Speed Triple has always been one of the originals in the segment, and of course ridden very famously by Tom Cruise in Mission Impossible 2. Now when you talk about the Speed Triple, you cannot really not talk about that sequence. And Triumph has gone ahead and turned the Speed Triple into a proper beast, because this is the Triumph Speed Triple 1200 RS and is the most powerful motorcycle from Triumph yet. Usually when we talk about a motorcycle's design, we tend to show you the front end first, but I'm not doing that for two reasons. Firstly, the headlamp design on this motorcycle looks very similar to what we have seen on the Street Triple RS, and that in my opinion has taken some bit of exclusivity away. But more importantly, underseat exhausts have always been a trademark design trait for the Speed Triple, and those are now gone. So you get a side mounted exhaust now, but I'm happy that Triumph has retained the single sided swing arm, and that makes for a really gorgeous looking rear end.
The 190 section rear tire has a role to play in adding to the Speed Triple's looks, besides which the tail light looks like the Batman logo, adding to the distinctiveness of the rear end. I do like the side slung exhaust as well, but it's just that it looks a little too ordinary. The engine sits packed very tightly under the fuel tank, which adds to the bike's compactness visually as well. The gold finished Öhlins forks at the front add to the bike's sportiness while also making the front end look beefier. Coming to the face, like I mentioned, the headlamp design is very similar to the smaller Street Triples, and while opinions about the bug-eyed face of Triumph Sport Nakeds have been split, I personally like the design a lot. I'm not a fan of the rearview mirrors mounted at the ends of the handlebar though. The front number plate is also an eyesore, but unfortunately, that's something necessitated by Indian regulations.
So like I mentioned, this is the most powerful Triumph yet. Offers 180 PS, that's a 30 PS hike over the outgoing version of the Speed Triple, which unfortunately never made it to India. And this one has also lost 10 kilos of weight. So you're talking 198 kilos curb weight, 180 PS, that's nearly a 1:1 power to weight ratio. And that can only mean one thing, mental acceleration.
We could not test the Speed Triple's acceleration numbers given the tricky weather, but on a dry day, the Speed Triple should manage the 0 to 100 kmph run in just over 3 seconds, which is proper superbike territory. In fact, getting to 150 km per hour or more is surprisingly easy. In essence, the Speed Triple is meant to be enjoyed in city or ridden hard in the hills, and it excels at that thanks to its engine performance, especially the strong mid-range. That said, I'm also very sure it can show a clean pair of heels to many a sport bike on track too. Fueling is smooth and precise, and this adds to the bike's impressive feel every time you open the throttle. Turn traction control off, and the Speed Triple is also quick to let you pull some crazy wheelies, and finding the balance point to just keep riding the bike on the rear wheel is very easy too. In a nutshell, the new Speed Triple lives up to the tag of being a proper hooligan.
Now this is Triumph's flagship motorcycle, and that means you get literally all the electronics you could imagine on a motorcycle. You've got a 5-inch TFT display, 5 riding modes, traction control, ABS, a 6-axis IMU, and of course Bluetooth, navigation, GoPro control. But this is a motorcycle that I would like to ride, and a lot of riders would like to ride on one wheel. And unfortunately, the one thing that is needed to make wheelies easier, a dedicated wheelie control system, is missing on this motorcycle, and that's a bit of a bummer.
The Speed Triple does get a front wheel lift control system, but that's linked to traction control settings, and I would have preferred a dedicated wheelie control system instead, considering there is a 6-axis IMU on board. But besides that one complaint, I must say the new Speed Triple's electronic suite is a very comprehensive one. Riding modes make a huge difference to the experience too, but my personal favorite is Rider mode that lets you customize various settings individually. New age litre class machines are way too powerful to be ridden without electronics, and the Speed Triple here is a fitting example. Opening the throttle on a 180 PS motorcycle like it without traction control is just asking for trouble. The best part here is that the electronics are always doing their thing in the background quietly and make you feel like a pro while doing all the hard work for you.
Now this is Triumph's flagship motorcycle, which means it gets fully adjustable suspension from Öhlins at both ends, the best of brakes from Brembo, and a set of Racetech RR tires from Metzeler, which offer excellent grip even on a rainy day like today.
The Öhlins deserve a big thumbs up because I was surprised by how good the ride quality is despite the sports bike-like handling. The bike manages the fine balance between a comfortable ride and sporty handling very well, which is perfectly in line with its positioning as a motorcycle meant to be ridden on the road and on track as well. I was really impressed by the grip levels offered by the Metzeler tires on the wet roads, while the Brembo brakes offer a sharp bite but in a very progressive manner, and that really added to the joy of riding the Speed Triple hard.
Now supernakeds were conceived from what is one of the purest forms of the motorcycle, like I mentioned at the start, and that means the Speed Triple 1200 RS here is a lot of fun. It can be scarily quick, almost as quick as a superbike in fact, and it will let you have a lot of fun at a racetrack. At the same time, it is surprisingly practical and easy to ride, given how accessible the performance is, and that really makes it very interesting. In fact, this one here will not break your back like a fared sports bike would. Well, this one will not need you to break a bank either, because at 17 lakh rupees ex-showroom, it's also one of the most affordable supernakeds you can buy in the country today. And if speed is what you crave, the Speed Triple 1200 RS is all the motorcycle you'll probably ever need.